finding a picture of a Hennessy car that was super sexy, and I couldn't figure out why it looked so much different from the front end. And after staring at the photo for a little while, I realized it was a ProCharger car, and they removed the front crash bar. So all you see is this big, huge aluminum heat exchanger, where it used to be a big, ugly black crash bar that on the ZL1 occupies more than 50% of that beautiful grille opening, which is kind of the sexiest part of the whole ZL1. So I was just wondering, like, well, how did they even do that? So I literally looked up the installation instructions for the ProCharger kit and was surprised to see that they just have you delete the crash bar. It made sense because it's completely in the way, not just airflow, but aesthetics. So it made a lot of sense that they did that, but I thought, I'm staring at it going, it seems like a little bit of an issue to completely remove it and have like zero protection for low speed impacts. So I'm literally came out into the garage, sit in front of the car, and I'm sketching up, well, what would it look like? Why couldn't you just, bolt something to the same connection points, go up and over the grille opening to at least get some low speed impact protection, but then open up the grille for your heat exchanger, whether it was a ProCharger or like a dedicated motorsports version that I have on my car now. So literally that's what I did. I pulled the front grille off, installed my heat exchanger, and then grabbed some scrap steel from work and started cutting and welding and literally just jigged the whole thing up myself out of square tube. It was pretty ugly. That one's for sure in the trash. I didn't keep it. And posted up photos to Camaro 6, got tons of really good feedback, and literally everybody was just like, build me one, I want one. And I thought, holy shit, there might actually be something here. So I redesigned it from scratch because the one I put together was pretty crappy, and took pre-orders for 12 or 15 units, built them all here in the garage, had a hell of a time doing it. And then after they were all shipped out and installed, I got so much good feedback, and I was done. Like, that little project was over, and so I'm sitting here going, shit, am I gonna pay taxes on the money that I made, or am I gonna reinvest in myself and maybe just make this a side gig, just turn it into a home-based business? So ultimately that's what I did. It was the decision to invest in myself. I believed in the product. All the feedback that I got was phenomenal. The fit and finish was helpful. It actually helps with cooling on these ZL1s, which is mission critical because hardly anybody's driving around with these things stock. Everybody pulleys them up. Everybody wants to make 1,000 horsepower, and it's hard to keep these things cool. So I guess in that aspect, it's not surprising that they were so popular, but that really fueled the fire per se for me to turn this into a business, and I haven't looked back. The idea was just investing in myself. I'd spent, at that point, almost 20 years investing my life into somebody else's company, which had its own perks and rewards and benefits. Met some of the coolest people that I've ever met in my life. But there was something missing. There was something missing that I wasn't investing in myself. I was investing in somebody else's future, and felt a little bit constrained. And my previous roles were not in automotive, but there were a lot of overlaps with designing, engineering, and manufacturing. So I took all of that experience, and when I finally decided to start this business, it was actually pretty low pressure because I was doing both at the same time. So it really was your stereotypical side hustle. It was nights and weekends. It was just a passion project. It was designing and building stuff when I had time. It was low volume. So I guess in that aspect, it was pretty stress-free. What wasn't stress-free was the recent decision to quit my job of 21 years and invest into Griffin Motorsports full-time. That has been absolutely terrifying. I can't even explain. I know there's a lot of people out there who have done the same thing. It is the craziest blend of fear, excitement, all bundled up together. But yeah, lots of feelings there. Working really hard to focus on is to be the vendor that I wish I had when I first started building my car. it was so hard to get anybody on the phone from any of the brands that I really wanted to purchase parts from, and I just had simple, stupid questions. And it was so hard to get anybody on the phone. And if you got somebody on the phone, they're trying to get you off the phone as soon as possible. And it's understandable. But one of the things that I really try to focus on is making time for customers. One of the funnest parts of my day is when somebody will reach out, they just got the car, they're new to the platform and they don't know where to start, and they've read all this stuff on Facebook and they've been on the forums and they think they should do A, B, and C. I'm able to give them some feedback on maybe why that's not the best approach, and depending on the needs and how they're going to use the vehicle, we should consider going a different route. And I think the goal here is to save people time, money, heartache, headache, putting stuff on the car that ultimately they're going to take back off because it doesn't work or it doesn't look good, and it conflicts with things that they're going to be doing down the road. So I think in that sense, one of the most rewarding parts of my job is just being on the phone with customers. I was talking to somebody who just wanted to sell parts. I wasn't talking to somebody who really cared about me or the car, and in hindsight wasn't asking anything about what I was doing to it, what the goals and uses were for the vehicle, if I was road racing, if I was street racing, if it was just a cars and coffee vehicle. And so this guy ended up selling me ultimately a product that I will be replacing soon. And so I wasted a bunch of money. I wasted time, wasted money, and it was pretty irritating in hindsight, and that has stuck with me. And I experienced the same thing for years and years building other vehicles. But that was like the most recent example of getting on the phone with somebody who just wants to sell you something that's on the shelf because it's sitting on the shelf, not making them money. And I really hate that. And so I think one of the promises that I told myself when I started Griffin Motorsports is I'm not here to get things off of the shelf. And I think that was naturally true in the very beginning because I didn't need to. This wasn't a source of income. I still haven't taken any income out of Griffin Motorsports. I just keep reinvesting everything into different solutions. And so when I get somebody on the phone, I'm not trying to sell something that's on the shelf. I'm really just trying to help the old me that was calling, just wanting some information on, hey, how should I maybe put my build together? So that guys aren't wasting money on parts that ultimately don't work, and they're going to have to replace in the future because they've made too much power. And so that still really bugs me that the guy that I bought my headers and cats from was a complete waste of money. And I really want to try to help. I really want to try to help fellow enthusiasts with education, just because parts are expensive, man. The cars aren't cheap. Right? This isn't like the platform for guys that are making tens of millions of dollars and just have tons of money to throw at their cars. These are all blue collar workers. They work really, really hard for the money that they end up having. I spent weeks and weeks putting the website together, and I hadn't even launched it yet. I had no social media. 44 years old, didn't have Facebook, didn't have Instagram. I was literally just on one Camaro forum. And so I launched the website. Maybe I share it on the forum. I hadn't done any marketing yet. I wasn't expecting anybody to place an order. And I remember going out and having breakfast one morning out in the backyard with my wife and my son. And I get an email that somebody just placed an order for a crash bar. And I was so elated and ecstatic, and it seemed so goofy to be that excited about an order. I just think it was the timing because I hadn't marketed the business yet, had no marketing plan. I literally just launched the website, didn't tell anybody, and somehow somebody with a 6th gen Camaro found my website, liked the product enough to purchase it, and that was such like a landmark or a milestone moment. But I'm driving to Vegas. I'm on my way to SEMA actually, and I get a phone call from Justin White. I've never actually talked to him over the phone. I know who he was, really popular remote tuner for this platform. And so I'm driving to Vegas and I get a call and Justin's like, hey, is this Gabe? Are you the one that builds that crash bar for the ZL1s? And I didn't know if he was pissed or if I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. He goes, dude, that thing actually works. And I was like, well, of course it works. Like, I already knew that. He goes, no, it really works. He goes, I've got a customer out. He was doing remote tuning for a road race customer, and that's the only change he made onto his car. He just put our crash bar on, no other changes to the car, same heat exchanger he already had, and he goes, dude, this thing actually works. He goes, we did data logs while he was racing, looked at the logs. The supercharger was so much cooler, we're actually able to give him more timing. So now he's got more power, faster lap times, all because of the crash bar. And he was like, just send me whatever information you have on. I got a bunch of customers that could use one. Like, holy shit, this thing actually works. And the humor there was like, well, dude, I already know that it works. But it was really just the way that I got a phone call about somebody who had that like shock and awe moment, like, holy cow, this custom fabricated thing that looks like it would improve cooling actually improves cooling. And I guess the funny part there is like Justin's is a true skeptic, and I think we all ought to be in certain ways. So him thinking that a crash bar with the same heat exchanger that it was going to help intake air temps at all, I can understand the skepticism, but it's really cool, and I still have tons of satisfaction when I'm able to connect users that are using the car aggressively, whether they're road racing or street racing, and they use any of our cooling solutions, and then I get the phone call like, holy cow, this thing really works. Intake air temps are better. We didn't heat soak, which meant I could race longer. Love getting those phone calls, texts, emails, super rewarding. And that call from Justin White that day, driving out to SEMA, I thought was pretty cool. Grew up with very, very few creatures and comforts, and anything that I had to work really, really hard for, whether it was a car or anything else. And so for all of my early years, anytime I wanted to do anything to one of my cars, it was a lot of work to scratch together $300. It was a lot of work to spend $1,000 on something. And so I really, really respect the typical blue-collar worker that is a 6th-gen Camaro owner, that's really working hard to scratch together the funds to put headers on their car. I don't take that lightly. It was so much a part of my life where I was working hard, working the overtime to save money, just to have something to put into my car. Spent way more time dreaming about putting parts on my car than I ever had money to do it. And so that is not lost on me. The poor kid in me still struggles to spend money on my car. And so I really, really respect the typical blue-collar worker, which is a 6th-gen Camaro owner, who's working hard to scratch together some funds to make their car go a little bit faster or stay cooler. And I really, really respect that. And so, when somebody calls me and they've decided to make me a part of their build and support me via the website buying parts, I just get so much joy and I get so much pride in that, because I know how hard it is to scratch together enough money to modify these cars. Literally invested everything into this business. I gave up a very successful career that I had built for 21 years, working with some amazing people, but ultimately it was clear that I needed to invest in myself. And I think the takeaway from this video is that I'm super passionate about the community. I think I'm super transparent about what I don't know and what I'm still trying to learn, because there are so many knowledgeable people that have been in this industry so much longer than me. But I think I bring something unique, and I'm happy to share it with people. Yeah, so like what you get when you support Griffin Motorsports, like supporting Griffin Motorsports is really supporting my efforts to continue to bring new solutions to market. So all of these crazy ideas, whether it's the belly pan or a whole new fuel line kit for the car or hood brackets and different supercharger cooling solutions or oil cooling solutions, all of those efforts are supported by the support that we get from all of the online sales. And so what's already been clear is that we've only been in business for a couple of years and we've already revamped a couple of our original projects. We're not just sitting still trying to move product. I'm constantly reinventing even the products that are already on the shelf. I really believe in kind of the constant improvement. And so I think you'll see that in the solutions that we come out with. So supporting Griffin Motorsports is really supporting the platform, and at least it's giving me the resources that I need to reinvest into new solutions for this platform and future platforms.